mucho amor. We're here discussing mucho amor with your lovely hosts. We got El Don Dino in the building, Naomi Guerra, Jason Eccles, JP Saruno, and brand new member, Mr. I have a blur background in my computer and I make myself look very dark in the picture so people don't know who I am. Oyola, you need a better lighting setup, man.
I don't have a lighting setup. It's just what it is.
I'm telling you, it will help you in the future with casting directors and everybody that's doing all this stuff online now.
All good.
Invest in some lights. I promise you, it will pay off. But yeah, we're here gonna discuss Mucho Amor, the Netflix film documentary, whatever you want to call it. And we always start by asking the person that picked the movie why they picked the movie, and that was me. So the reason I picked this movie was because I am from Puerto Rico, and there's a lot of talent that gets out of Puerto Rico or people hear about them and stuff like that. And I feel Walter Mercado is like the exception of like what a person in a way should be, you know, which is like always trying to help other people, even if it's strangers and stuff like that. And I just feel like his legacy is gonna even live even more now because of this piece. And I just felt like everybody should have watched it, to the point that this is literally my second time watching it, because I watched it when it premiered and then I watched it this second time around because it's that good in my opinion. They did a brilliant job just encapsulating his history into a work of art that was this documentary. And yeah, and I just felt like if it weren't for me sort of putting in the cinema club, then other people it would escape people's searches, you know, and they wouldn't have found out about this. So that's the reason I picked this movie. But I'm curious about what you guys thought.
Well, if I may start, I will. I appreciated the film. As I was watching it, I was like, why did Steve pick this for me and all the other cinema club people to watch? But I will say that I had never heard of Walter Mercado before. Had no clue who he was going into this thing. So my curiosity was piqued because I always like to learn new stuff and new people. And, you know, this guy lived a very interesting life, you know, and there was considering who he was and how big he was, you know, coming from the island of Puerto Rico and, you know, making it big all over the world. You know, somebody at the end of the documentary said, if this guy would have existed today, he would have been the biggest thing on Instagram. And he would have had something like 50, 70 million, 100 million followers on Instagram, you know, just considering how flamboyant and androgynous he is and, you know, messing around with like astrology and whatnot. This dude would be a monster on the internet. But I mean, he's a monster in real life as well. I appreciated it. I'm glad Steve did recommend this, because otherwise I would have never known who this guy was. I would have lived the rest of my life and probably never heard of him. And just for the frame of reference, I am grateful. All in all, as far as the documentary goes, I'm going to say up front, I didn't love it. I didn't think it was like thoroughly interesting. Maybe my mind will change once I start hearing you guys' opinions. But just offset, I wasn't like thoroughly invested as I watched it. But that's my initial take after seeing the film.
Just to piggyback on Jason, I kind of had a similar. I mean, I grew up in Paraguay, so I definitely saw Mercado a lot and all that. So it was a staple on TV. But so watching it, especially towards the beginning, I was like, did we really need a documentary on Walter Mercado? Like, I was just thinking, because I was like, I wasn't getting maybe new information or just, you know, like some, whether it be big revelation or something that really got me thinking. I was just like, yeah, he's a guy, he did all this stuff. but somewhere maybe towards the end of Act 2 or maybe late in Act 3, I started to notice, like I would be smiling, like I would just be smiling, like at certain things that I would see him do or see him or hear him say, and I'd be smiling and then laughing, and I was like, you know what, like it is good. It's definitely not the just his story ended up like definitely the documentary I think wasn't as strong as I was hoping it would be, because maybe he's so big as a person. It's like it was an hour and a half for like someone as big as Liberace or Elvis, right? And it was really condensed into just like leading up to the event at the museum, right? And going into his legal troubles. But other than that, it felt very much just Wikipedia. But I will say I was very happy, like at the end, towards the end of it, I was just like, this is making me really happy. Like hearing him talk, like again, and I'm not at all believe in all that different stuff. And I don't think he actually did either. I mean, he even flat says it. I do this to make just to get people that believe in it to listen, and maybe I can share some good stuff. So that was my initial thoughts on it.
Hi guys, sorry.
Hi.
I work Thursdays now, so it's like hard.
Ooh.
I'm a personal chef, so I like work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes I can get out early, and then other times like I just got home. So
what did you make today?
Well, today I made a paleo crusted fried chicken, which is really good. I do that with the tofu. I'm talking to Ari's right here. I do that with tofu sometimes. And then I made cassava flour tortillas, which were really good. They're like healthier than regular flour tortillas, and I would definitely make them again. And then I made this Chinese boiled chicken dish with green onions. And then last night I made some ube rolls that Ari is eating. Here, I'll show you all what Ari is eating. She's eating these ube rolls that I made from scratch.
Nice.
And they're really pretty though. Hang on, I'll show you a whole one.
Oh my god.
So that's
che.
Yeah.
Yo quiero uno, está al lado. ¿Puedo buscar uno?
Yeah, come get it. Come get one.
Yeah, can our next one just be at a park and you bring the food and we'll show up there and film it?
And I want the yuca tortilla recipe too.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. It's out of this paleo book that I think I might buy, because this woman has like such a strict diet, and like it takes a long time to cook shit, and she has kids. So I'm like just basically her personal chef, and I'm there from like 12 to 6 usually, but lately it's been longer.
I'm really interested in the yuca thing. That's like Paraguay's #1 side dish, although we call it mandioca. But
yeah.
So very
mandioca.
Yeah, mandioca.
I've heard that before.
But then in Guarani, usually it's just mandio. So mandio chururu is like a scramble of eggs with yuca and whatever you have, right? And you just scramble the eggs and the yuca and stuff. So, and then empanadas with the yuca flour. So that's, Anyway, back to
back in the show.
Back to the discussion.
I'm so hungry now for mandioca, but I got beer, so I'll be okay.
I have 4 rolls left over. If you guys want to come by with your mask, I will hand you over one.
I'm gonna go 1 roll for sure after this talk.
Come.
I'm in Ramona. I'm leaving to go there now.
I'm in Ramona. Just have you ever had like Filipino rolls? The Filipino ube rolls? That's basically what I made.
What is it?
It's just Filipino food.
Okay.
I was craving Filipino food, so I made it. And then I made some for the woman that I cook for. But anyhow, we can stop talking about food. I just come in here late and make it all about me. you know? I'm so sorry. Where were we?
Who wants to say their impressions of the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you finish yours, Dino?
Yeah, I finished mine actually right on time.
Chill. It's weird because again, like Dino said, like because of it, and it's almost as soon as I saw how long the documentary was, I was kind of concerned about that as well. Like it's an hour 30. It's not that long of a film, and it's also like we're not used to reviewing documentaries, so I had to put my mind in a different mindset. I was like, okay, this is about a famous person who just recently passed away, and I'm sure part of the reason why they played it safe with this documentary was due to the timing of it all, because Walter did pass away incredibly recently, and just moments after how they end the documentary itself with the event, and it was, for me, it was very much it was a learning experience because I knew of Walter, but I had no idea like who he was, because like he was the type of person that like when you see him on the TV, like it was the sort of thing that like I didn't pay attention. I wasn't into that sort of thing. I just wanted to watch like Chavo or like just some silly cartoons. Like I was not into the whole astrology thing and whatever. In fact, I originally thought that he was just, well, he kind of is a self-help guru. So I assumed that's what he was. So when he passed away and they said that, oh, he was into fortune telling and astrology, like, oh, okay, that's something new to me. And I had no idea that he was also kind of like in that whole kerfuffle where they bring it up in the documentary, the not the 1-900 fortune teller stuff, because like I knew of Miss Cleo and she's like infamous. It's like, oh, this bitch was lying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I kind of was hoping that they were gonna put on the brakes and talk about that.
Have another one.
But that actually, like, they didn't really talk too much into that. But all in all, like again, like I also felt kind of like there was moments of me like just grinning and smiling because he is such a charming personality, and and you know, it's like he even says it in the documentary, like his mind, you know, is young, like he himself has a young soul, but unfortunately, like his body, much like all of us, like we eventually grow old, and sooner or later, that's the end of that. So it was actually really interesting that they even talked about that, because he did seem like in the documentary a really reluctant person to talk about death, because it's not exactly the most happiest thing, but it's something that we all have to eventually go through. But all in all, like it was, for me, it really was an educational experience, because like we all, like, I knew of him, but I did not know what he was about, and just to see like how like actually important he was to a lot of people, that was interesting. I was like, okay, like I always thought he was just like that guy that had all that crazy shit on him, and that was all he was to me. It was just surface level, but to see who he really was and what he was about, you know, it was
He's still that guy, JP.
right. But for sure, like the documentary did its job. I actually ended up learning from it. All in all, I wish that we learned more, or at least it was willing to dive deeper into the not so great aspects of his life. But I'm pretty certain that it was because of the timing of it all. Like, you don't want to, you know, speak ill of the dead, you know, especially someone as famous as he was. So yeah, that was my first initial thoughts.
I grew up watching this guy. Every time that he would come out in Primer Impacto at 5:45, the whole block would stay fucking quiet. And it was like one of those first things I noticed. I'm like, why is the neighborhood quiet? This is never happening. Like, ever happens, but every day it would stay quiet. And then my grandma would say, shh, cállese, no hable. And I'm like, all right, what's happening? So eventually I ended up knowing that this man had a gift. He was an actor. He was more than universe, I feel. And he portrayed this role that no one had ever fucking portrayed. So he legitimately like put himself in the motherfucking pedestal and was like, this is what it is. This is how it should be done. This is how it can be done. And I hope others follow through. And I specifically like him because of his glamour and the hope he brought to the LGBT community. I'm sure there's a lot of homophobia in the Hispanic community. If you're gay, you're like shunned or like, fuck you, you know? So he like really like enlightened a lot of people to come out of the closet. And, you know, every November, my mom would go and seek for these things, you know? Like, this is from 1959 and this is from fucking 2008. So he would go and seek for his knowledge. And it's just like a sense of hope that we really don't really get to see in the Latin community. We just get to like, okay, you're this, you're that, but he just like brought some enlightenment. And I didn't know he was from Puerto Rico. I didn't know he had legal issues. I recall him disappearing for quite some time, and I'm like, why did that happen? And now I know why. But he he put himself in a pedestal, and for someone to want to portray him or be him, it's gonna be fucking hard. You know what I'm saying? So those are my initial thoughts on this documentary.
Nice.
I didn't write that down this time.
You write down your initial thoughts?
No,
I love that. It's so organized. What's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Me too.
That's hilarious.
You share that on your comedy thing.
I am. I'm very Aquarius.
Um,
And so, Steve, how many Aquariuses do we have in here?
Just 3, I think.
Just 3?
So if you guys are really into the astrological, can you guys guess people's sign?
I'm pretty good at it
because
because I grew up watching this motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna give your initial thoughts, Danny?
Yeah. Oh, is it my turn to give thoughts?
Sure.
Oh, it's over.
All right,
I mean-
whose turn is it?
It's whoever's.
Oh, well, I mean, I watched it actually before it was assigned to us literally a couple days beforehand, so perfect. It was, everyone was talking about how cute it was, and as an Aquarius, like, I'm never about hype. I don't like when people are like, wow, this is the best thing in the whole wide world, like, you know, but it was really good, and it was really cute, and it was, like, not what I expected, and kind of like what JP was saying, like, I mean, I kind of wish they touched more on, like, maybe some of the more problematic things, because I was, like, more curious about that, but maybe that's just because I fucking love drama. I don't know. But, like, I have a Cancer rising, so I love drama. But I, yeah, I was intrigued to learn more about this guy and like sort of like learn more about like even like I know this sounds weird and it's none of my business, but like his sexuality and how he's just asexual and like just kind of like this guy that wants to be alone but like have people around him, which like I relate to as an Aquarius. And I and also I thought like as an actor who's like somebody like I'm traditionally like somebody who's like, oh, I don't like really want to be like involved in like my stuff. I just kind of want to do things and have people tell me what to do and like not look into it and just like trust that people are going to take care of me. But like the fact that his whole like basically identity was like sold, like he was like unintentionally a sellout and sold to like this fuck ass manager guy. Like that was wild to me. And I was like, wow, that can happen to anyone. That happened to sweet Walter, our sweet, sweet man. And like, how could he not predict that was my main question. But secondly, I guess he's not a psychic, but like, you know what I mean? Like that spoke to me. And that was like an interesting thing that I haven't really seen. I mean, I've seen it in documentaries, but it was like, it's never been so called out. And I kind of like that. I kind of liked how they called that out. Like, oh, these people are assholes. And they even called that guy out, that the guy that they interviewed. They're like, don't you like kind of feel bad for being a dick? And he's like, no, I don't regret that shit. Like, it was like kind of cool to see like like, it's not cool that this guy was a dick, but it was like cool to like see somebody just be real about like their dick shit. Because I feel like in LA, like, ain't nobody gonna own up to their dick ass energy. You know what I mean? Like, not this town. But yeah,
Not the people that come here.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just like, that's why like I always feel like, oh, if like I was like in New York doing things, I'd probably do better. But like, I don't know, that guy was from New York and he was like, yeah, I'm a dick. Like, I did that shit and I'm still making money off this motherfucker. Like, he like doesn't care. And that was like wild to me that he would even just do this on this documentary. Like, I'm surprised like people aren't leaving like shit on his front door and lighting it on fire. But like,
Sure they are.
like,
Maybe they are,
gotta
yeah.
be. But yeah, all in all, loved it. It reminded me of my childhood. It made me feel like connected to my Puerto Rican heritage and my brujeria side and like all that shit, because my great grandma was a mystic and bruja. So yeah, I don't know. It was just nice. It was nice to see something cultural and cool. And even though I'm not like a white Puerto Rican, like I look white, but my mom's a black Puerto Rican. And like, because I feel like, I don't know how Yola and Steve feel about this, but I feel like white Puerto Ricans are a little different than like trigueños. I don't know why, they just have a different vibe.
Maybe, yeah.
I just feel that way when I visit, but I don't know.
The documentary for me, I feel kind of like JP. It was kind of like a learning experience, even though I knew some stuff about him. I knew he was Puerto Rican, and I knew because I was in the Teatro Rodante, where he was also part of that theater group in the University of Puerto Rico. So I don't remember if I saw a picture somewhere or someone told me about him being an actor, and so I knew that part. But I didn't know, like, for example, the Walter, the Miracle Kid. That blew my mind. People lining up outside of his house to touch him. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's wild.
Also, Puerto Rico is wild.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is wild.
Yeah. So that's pretty impressive. But yeah, definitely, it was like I learned a lot. And for me, it was also about locating myself in space and time with the events that they were talking about in the documentary, because I did, well, after I was born, of course, I did see almost everything that he did. I saw Primer Impacto, but he did start it in the local Puerto Rico channel. So I did see Canal Cuatro, and I saw him in like the commercials for the fortune telling, whatever.
Yes, that's what I remember the most, is like him like basically like inventing Miss Cleo, which I love, but like
but yeah, definitely also like a couple of you have said, it's definitely brought some memories, and it did bring me some smiles. But I'm gonna add myself to the list of people saying that I would have liked to see a little bit of his dark side, where I've heard some stuff. I haven't confirmed, but he did have some like, political ties with the wrong people and stuff like that. Right? So
like,
that didn't
what kind
happen.
of political ties?
Yeah, like what is that? Sorry, I'm peeing, so I muted myself. But what?
I after the documentary was out, I started reading some people, the other, posting like the other side of the story of him having some, I don't know if it was it was a couple of stuff. I remember something about him being an ally of like some exiliated Cubans, and not that was bad. It's just like what in Puerto Rico, why they did. It was like something about something shady. I'm not sure. It was like a friend probably like posting about something that Walter was involved in, that his family got affected by. Right. But I didn't I didn't investigate enough. But I know he has a dark side. And I think he was missing. I think he was like the whole documentary was like he was always good and almost like a saint, right? But I'm sure he wasn't.
The illustrations were really cool. I like how they transitioned, and
I really like the transitions.
You were able to see like, you know, the tarot cards and then the actual illustration of the courthouse. Like they were separate stories, but within you're like, hey, what the fuck this happened?
I think it got better because it was, for me, it was really weird and creepy. I guess when he was a kid and his arms are out, and then it's just showing like really creepy, like drawn kisses, and I'm just like, I hope this is not gonna be like this the whole time because those drawings are creepy. But to say that, oh man, when there's the one clip of him and Don Francisco like talking, I was just like, that's my childhood right there. Just like, we had two channels, Canal 13 y SNT. And every Saturday it was Sábado Gigante, you know, and so like that's what you would watch. You would watch that. Yeah. So, and again, Walter would be on there, and of course during the week, they, like it said, he was syndicated across Latin America. So Walter Mercado would appear before we got cable. Definitely, he was already on. Maybe both channels. I don't remember. It's been a while, but I'm sure he cornered the market real good in Paraguay. So yeah, and Primer Impacto, like all that, I remember. You know, like yeah, my dad retired. I mean, he's 73, something like that. Anyway, so once he retired, it was Telefuturo or Univision is on all the time. Right now, I bet I can FaceTime him and one of those two channels is on right now. So it was always on TV. And so that's the type of thing of just remembering all those things and then the different channels and the different TV personalities, you know, that you grew up with and that you saw. So it definitely made me remember those simpler times, I guess. And then, again, just freaking out, like him in the airport, like coming to Miami, and people are like hugging him, and he's kissing, and I'm like, "What are you doing? You're gonna get COVID! Like, don't. This is an old man. He's 87. Stop touching him."
I do the same when I watch stuff now. I forget that like pre-COVID, like people touched.
Yeah, I mean, he just passed away in November, so it could have been a COVID situation.
Right, kidney failure, and more like COVID failure.
It broke my heart when he was like trying, you know, the whole situation, his internal battle about he wanting to be in television but not wanting to be destroyed, you know, destruido, like he would say it.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep that glam, and it was like an actual thing, and I think it didn't let him go back to TV. And there was this one shot specifically where he was like leaving the airport, and he was on a walker, and he tells the cameraman like, "Hey, you take me from this and up." And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, don't show the walker.
Yeah. It broke my
I was curious about that. I was wondering if he meant don't show the walker or don't show my shoes. I thought maybe he had like some old man dad shoes on. He goes, people can't see me in these. They got to see me like in some
what he said
shoes.
is don't show the share is what.
Yeah.
La silla was what he said.
Ah.
And you know those walkers have like a little part where you can sit on. So I think that's what he was referring to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
One of the things that I really, really, really enjoyed about this film, again, like I get why like someone like Jason in particular doesn't necessarily get it because he didn't grow up on this, so it's different. You're now learning a little bit of our culture, but like the one moment that literally like I see and it transports my mind to so many great memories is when they're in the car and they're just singing that song. Me importas tú.
Oh wow, yes.
Y solamente when they're singing just that song, bro. Literally, like my brain just goes to like.
What a good moment.
That song gave me a feel too. I haven't like my family doesn't really sing that song as much, but they like obviously I've heard that song and I'm like, this is like. Oh.
And then you're waiting because everyone's singing and Willy is just like looking out the window. But then Willy turns and he starts to sing, and I'm just like, oh man.
This is really interesting because I was curious as I was watching this. I'm like, I wonder how many people in the group grew up on this or are aware of Walter. And I just assumed, because of the way they spoke of him, like how many people he had affected worldwide. I'm like, they probably all know. But I was really interested to sit down with you guys today to actually see, had you guys grown up with him, or what impact he had on your family and your upbringing and like just the culture in general.
Was this movie your choice?
No, this is Steve.
Oh, I figured, but I was just like, oh, Jason.
Can you repeat that, Jason? I don't understand.
I was just curious, as I was watching the documentary, I was curious to how Walter maybe had affected other people in the group, like your upbringing and like culturally, how he might have affected your families. And, you know, you guys are all from different parts of the globe as well. So I was like also interested, like, well, how far was his reach? And I thought I would get some pretty good answers on that today. I was really curious of how he affected you guys because I had never heard of him before I turned it on.
My dad's from Guatemala, and he had shared with me that Walter had come out in TV, and there was this like radio station that would play the TV. So he would go up the hill from his mother's ranch and try to get a satellite signal to hear what he had to say because of like the sense of hope that he brought. And hope is not really brought up on we mainly see white people, like these white fools are everywhere. So it's like seeing someone that speaks Spanish, hearing someone speak Spanish is just like, whoa, let's listen to him. Yeah. So that's like back in the 50s, 60s or something. But in general, like I see him as he played his character well. Like that's true artistry till the end. You know what I'm saying? Like it's true artistry. Other than that, I don't think he was a psychic. I think he was just very spiritual and omnious character that believed in various, como se dice, facts or stories of different religions and just like brought light upon Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, and I don't think he did Catholicism, but whatever is little things that he brought upon. And that's why it resonated with a lot of people. Because when you speak true, people will listen. And if you don't speak true, it's just going to go in one ear and out the other. And that's because it's not resonating with you. So he just had a way with words. And like, that's what my dad shared with me. Like, I used to go up the hill and listen to him. We all did. Like, we were little kids and we just wanted to hear what he had to say. And like, that's just what my dad shared with me. But you know, my mom had a different upbringing. You know, she was in the Civil War, so it was like different.
Oh, shit.
So it's just like, I guess what circumstance you're in life that will probably help you resonate with this individual. But he played his character to the T because there was no one like him. So he put himself up there. That's how I see it.
That's really dope. I kept thinking like, the showmanship was like on par with like Liberace, and I'm glad they kind of made reference to that in the documentary. And you know, all the other dudes who were like real flamboyant, the Elton Johns, you know, all the other people kind of that generation. Is one of the 48 laws of power to court attention at all costs, you know, or to be regal in your fashion is one of the 48 laws of power. And, you know, that's how he caught people's attention in order to give them this very hopeful and powerful message. And I love that. I fell in love with Walter watching this. Like, this dude is super positive and super hopeful, and his whole message is, you know, one of love and peace. And how could you not love somebody like that? And I can see why you get the impact.
But it's crazy how it all started. It all started him playing around with it.
Yeah.
Remember, in the beginning, he was just like in the studio, and he was there to do something else. like to play a part, like do the character. And then
he started improvising.
Maybe blackface, because they talked about he had makeup and was dressed up as like a Persian something or other. And they were showing pictures, and I'm like, it's. I was like,
it was a part in a play he was playing.
Yeah.
That was like the 50s though. In the 50s, it was like cool to do blackface. Like we can't look.
There's a couple of Puerto Rican blackfaces. We haven't addressed that in the island yet, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Dude, I was watching old 70s commercials from Puerto Rico, and there's so much blackface. I'll send it to you guys. It's wild.
Oh my God.
There's a main producer called Paquito Cordero. He's like one of the founding fathers of Telemundo. His most famous character was a blackface.
Yep.
Yeah. I've read some really good articles about blackface and Indian red face, basically red skin in Latino America, and just like how it's pushed aside, you know, and the campesino and the India or Indio character, you know, anyone who's from like out of the city. So this is on a whole different separate topic, but it's huge through Latin America of just like, you know, the depictions of those, kind of how they showed how sketch shows and stuff like that made fun of him, which the majority were very much on the homophobic and over the top. But
that's true.
Going to the law thing of the character, the one thing it made me think of was of the only other case that I've heard of like a person, an image, and someone's actual name being being contested. Stephen Colbert, when he first started doing the late night show, he did a bit as bringing Stephen Colbert from his Comedy Central show, and Comedy Central sent a cease and desist letter or something the next day. So there was this whole thing about, so he had to be like, apparently I'm not Stephen Colbert. Like he came out and had to talk about like, I can't, like Stephen Colbert that I did in Comedy Central, I do not own that Stephen Colbert. And so
that's wild.
Yeah, and so every time he's played a joke on that way, like he created shortly after that happened a sketch where it was like, this is my other stepbrother, Stephen Colbert, and like misspelled Stephen Colbert. And it's basically the same character, but just misspelled. And he was, you know, and so now he does that. But that's the only other instance when he was just, like, he was dumbfounded saying, like, this is apparently property of Comedy Central. My name and my image is property of Comedy Central.
So
I remember the Colbert Report.
Yeah, exactly. So, like that, Stephen Colbert doesn't own.
So for that one, I can give a little input on that. So I'm a big wrestling fan, right? And in wrestling, particularly WWE, which is the highest, most corporate wrestling, that's almost like the Disney of wrestling. What they do in order for their wrestlers to not go to competing companies is they trademark people's names. So once you're in their system, they own your name and your likeness. Not your image. Your image, you can always take it anywhere you want, but you cannot use, even if you enter the system with your own first name and last name, they now own your first name and last name. That's another reason why I recommended this particular documentary movie, because it's important for the creator, for the artist to know some type of business.
Yeah.
So something like this never happens to you, because literally you can build an entire career and someone that's just a tiny bit more smarter than you in the business side can fuck you over. And I see it happen to artists so many fucking times. I mean, Selena's death was because of her manager. So like, these things are like life.
I feel like that was like, that whole thing is, I mean, I feel like, I don't know where that's on a different
literally
level.
All the Central Americans are like, don't you talk about Selena like this. You're going to get the fuck out of here with this.
I was like, it was the manager, but I think that, I mean, That manager didn't seem to be smart at all to me, at least from the movie Selena. It wasn't a smart manager.
Can I say something that might make people upset?
Do it.
You prefer J-Lo Selena than the real Selena?
Almost. So listen, I didn't grow up listening to Selena at all.
Me neither, yeah.
Yeah, I just I didn't really know who she was. And then I saw the movie Selena, and then people would be like, yeah, Selena's Mexican. I was like, no, she's Puerto Rican, and she's played by J-Lo. Like, as if she was a fictional character. I thought she was like a fictional character for years until I was like 13, and someone was like, no, Selena's real. And then I looked it up on Google, and I was like, oh, she's real.
That's funny.
My biggest thing was the brother was named Dino, and it was Selena and Los Dinos. And I was like, that's my name! I mean something somewhere.
But she's cute. She bops. Like, she has music where I'm like, hey, this bops. It's fine.
Jason, have you seen the movie Selena?
I've seen Selena. My favorite part from the movie is when the tour bus breaks down and the two cholo dudes try to get the tour bus out of and the bumper comes off, and they're so scared, oh my God, these gangsters, my bumper came off. He's like, I'm gonna hang it above my garage and say, this bumper was pulled off by Salinas' bus.
Jason, that's what every person who hasn't actually seen Selena says is their favorite part.
A very specific, drawn out, yeah.
Because it was in the commercial.
No, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, was it in the commercial? Listen, I saw that movie on cable in 94 probably. So I never even knew there was a commercial.
Whatever, Jason, we're going to pretend to believe you.
What'd you say?
So we're going to pretend to believe you.
Right, exactly.
My favorite part was Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, Edward James Olmos. No, I watched Stand and Deliver last weekend, and it was just as good a second time.
Which one?
Stand and Deliver.
Is that the movie where he's a school teacher?
Yeah.
Isn't he a school teacher in 20 movies? I don't
know. He's not a school teacher in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, or in what's it called? Blade Runner?
Oh yeah, he is in Blade Runner.
He is.
He was in Zoot Suit, the
we should watch Zoot Suit.
Stage version.
I'm
just throwing up all these movies.
I'm a sucker for anything in the 90s. I feel like the 90s was a really prime time for all different genres of movies. Me and Marcus recently rewatched Not Without My Daughter, which was total racist propaganda against Iran when we were about to go to war with them in Desert Storm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Ari's like, oh my God, you watch that? It's problematic. It's basically, yeah, it has Alfred Molina, who always plays an Arab guy or a Spanish guy, but he's not even ethnic. He's British. Like Catherine Zeta-Jones, they're just kind of dark-skinned British people, but
it's the facial hair.
Yeah. But
I believe his first movie was Indiana Jones.
Oh shit! That's right. He was that fucking asshole in the beginning.
Throw me the whip, I'll throw you the idol. No, throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip. That guy.
Oh wow, that's Alfred Molina?
Yeah, that was his first role.
Holy crap.
Anyway, so it was crazy because it's just basically about this woman that her husband's let's go to Iran and visit our family. And then she's like, I don't know about going to Iran. It's probably dangerous. No, you'll be with me. It's fine. And then he's like, since we're married, I can keep you here forever and you can never leave because the laws in Iran are like this. And then it's they have to do this whole travel across the Middle East where she kidnaps her own daughter. And then they finally get to America. And the ending is we're in America. We're home. It's super dramatic.
Oh, dear God.
So over the top. You guys have to watch it. Maybe we should add that to our movie list just to shit on it.
Send the cue to Steve.
I will. But yeah, down for all that.
What else you guys got on Walter Mercado?
Going back to Walter, I want to say that it's cool how I like it when different Latinx get together, I loved it. That now they didn't know even that he was Puerto Rican. Yeah, who cares? He's just, he's representing all of us. I really liked it. And you can really see that. There's a moment where it really doesn't matter. And we're just this one thing. And I feel he did that. And I feel we can aim towards thinking more like that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he
for
talked.
certain.
He talked about the about the differences and how that is what we are like. I forget. It was very eloquent of how he shared kind of what you were saying of the similar idea. Like there are so many people that are so different, but that's what should unite us and stuff like that.
Exactly. He did. I remember that.
Yeah, I also liked how he used how he was saying like his religion was like basically just plucking from the best of all the different religions.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very a great
Omnious.
You like grab a little bit of everybody's culture or do it out of everybody. You kind of form your own one thing and you can make more out of it instead of like hating on people's stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to be inclusive of everyone.
Right. And he was incredibly open about it too. Like I was really shocked when they had the one segment where he was on a talk show and they asked him like, well, what about Christianity and Catholicism? It was really open, saying like, no, like there is no one has an authority of who God is and like what God does. Like we're all human. And then you just get an applause from the audience. Sounds like it doesn't matter if like almost every Latin country is like it's heavily Christian, heavily Catholic. So the fact that they all like applauded that is like, oh shit, like.
And that was like in Cristina, which is another big figure, another big Latin figure, right? Yeah. Was that in Cristina?
I think so.
I believe so.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole like, my God is my God, your God can be your God, but it's like basically they're the same. They'll just have different names.
Yeah.
And he did the same thing with with his sexuality. Like even when he was kind of being roasted on that one other show, he was still pretty straight honest and like forward about it. Like, you know, like life is his sexuality, you know? Like he wasn't gonna give in to like, oh, is he gay or like what is he or whatever.
And talking about the sexuality, one of my favorite bits was when he's asked, oh, so you're saying that Walter is a virgin? And he just goes, the only one in town?
Yeah.
When he's like, no, I make love to the birds. I make love to the wind. I make love to the... I was like, that's great.
Yeah, I was like, it was on a fine line. I'm like, it can get creepy really quick. but he was like tap dancing right around that fine line.
I felt like I thought, I wish I could be in a situation that I could say that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, he kept it spiritual, so as long as you just say that, like, make sure to add that bit.
Can we just bring up that all Walters are really likable? I mean, you have Walter Mercado, and then you have Walter White. I mean, they're all just really nice people, rounded off, right?
Walter White, he did make glass, right? I called it by its street name, my bad.
I know, I was like, right. No hablo street name.
Hey, that's what happens when you're raised in the hood. I enjoyed this.
Me too.
Final thoughts, you guys.
Final thoughts for me are, and this is just like, you know, super self-absorbed and gonna be very Puerto Rican for me to say, but like being Puerto Rican's great, and we have a lot of cultural icons, and watching that movie just made me feel really proud to be a part of like I mean, all Latinos are great, blah blah blah, we love you guys, but like I mean just but long story short, and I do mean that, I love all Latinos, but like just being Puerto Rican and like watching this was like, and even in the United States, like this guy is from my culture, and that was just meaningful to me. I don't know if like there's like a real final thought on other than that, like other than this like sort of like self-absorbed thought, but just like sort of like, wow, like I come from like this, like come from like people who would inspire people, like who make people feel good. Like I feel like I'm a part of it. And like, that's what the documentary kind of like makes you feel like, or at least from my perspective, is like, oh, we're like all part of it. And like,
like the first sentence there in the museum of his little bio or whatever, it's like, he born or grew up in a sugar cane farm, right? Yeah. Like, that says so much, right? Because Paraguayans are pretty freaking cool Latinos too, okay? It's not just Puerto Ricans that are cool. Yeah, like just sugar, like that to me, that says so much to me of just like sugarcane farm. Like, I know exactly what that looks like. Yeah, also, I've been listening to the audiobook, Open Veins of Latin America. Ooh. And that goes in, yeah, I recommend that book. It's outdated, yet at the same time, it's not outdated. If you know, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's not updated, but it's not outdated. Because things have not changed. You can change from, you know, sugarcane fields to the coffee bean.
Right.
Anyway, but so it made me think of, like, sugarcane farming is no simple task. So just to hear, like, he was able to go to college, like, and in performing arts is what it seems like in that time, like, from a sugarcane farm, like, it just, it was, the more I think about it, it's a very powerful story that I just wish had a fuller picture to it.
Yeah.
That's my final thought.
Good.
Well, I just want to say that I'm glad Steve picked this documentary, this film. And I was happy because I figured I would get a lot of information about you guys' culture. And that's always interesting to me because, you know, I always like to learn, and I'm a curious fish. So I appreciate that. So I appreciate you all sharing your culture and your experiences with me this evening through Walter Mercado. So God bless him and his impact in the world, because I don't know how I would have ever found out about him or found out about any of this. I'm surprised I didn't know, to be honest with you, seeing how much impact he's had on so much of the world. So yeah, good experience. I would recommend the movie to anybody who is Latin descent, because you guys should all take great pride in this thing.
Thank you. Noted, Jason. I'll let all my other Latino friends to watch it.
It is true though, like that guy, like basically, because I was on the same boat. I was like, I had no idea he was Puerto Rican. I assumed that he was actually Mexican.
Isn't that sad? I was like, oh, it's probably Mexican. Or usually where I'm at, it's like, oh, it's probably Argentinian.
Yeah,
like, Mexico's so big.
Yeah, but he reached.
I'm not gonna lie. I knew he was Puerto Rican, but still, I was like, he might be kind of Cuban because he hangs out.
Yeah, he has Cuban vibes.
Puerto Rican.
Well, wait. So you guys are all Puerto Rican. Where are you guys from, or where's your family from? Are you guys also from Ponce, or are you guys from San Juan, or where are you guys from in Puerto Rico? Is anybody
My mom is from San Juan, and my dad is from Bayamón.
Bayamón.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Rio Piedras, which is San Juan.
Nice.
And my mom is from Loíza, but my grandma moved to San Sebastián in like the 70s, so kind of both. Very different sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my grandpa is from Loíza, and my grandma's originally from Corozal. So.
Wow.
So all over.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and then Ponce is south.
Yeah.
Ponce will be San Diego.
That's a good description. Aguadilla, though, has the vibe of San Diego.
And then Danny's grandma lives in Venice Beach.
Yeah.
Or Hawaii. It will be more Hawaii, you know? You gotta go a little further.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's essentially it. So just for my quick final thought, it was just like, I mainly want to recommend this movie because I just think his essence, like his energy, what he is inside, like what they were talking about, like towards the end of the movie, this whole thing, this caparucho, like the guy was saying. But this whole cocoon that we're in is just a body that's gonna deteriorate at some point. But what lives is that inside of you. And even though he was old, he still wanted to do things, but life caught up with him, and he was unable to do the things he wanted to do. Maybe if he would have prevented certain legal things that happened to him, maybe he could have had more time to keep doing what he loved to do, which was entertaining people and do all that stuff. Because of that setback, it messed with his health, it messed with his finances for sure, and it set him back a lot based on what he already built. So in my point of view, I see this as an inspiration of how people should aim to be towards others, which is just wish people the best, give them hope and nothing more. And most important for creatives to flex that other side of their brain, which is that analytical part, that business side. So in the future, we get less people getting taken advantage of, because unfortunately in business, there's a lot of sharks out there. And that's literally the industry that there's the most amount of deception, shade, and everything, because the entire world is ran by businesses. So other people don't want other people to get ahead. But in my point of view, I think we all should get ahead, and we should all help other people to get ahead. So that's my final thought.
Speaking of which, Steve, I haven't gotten the contract yet. So if you could send that by, that would be...
Oh, you haven't gotten your contract yet?
No, I haven't. I've been...
Man.
You guys got contracts?
All right. People are already started eating dinner without me, so I'm going to head on out. Do we have a movie for next week, or are we still...
Did everybody give their final thought?
Oh, I thought they did. I thought Steve was the last. No?
No, not everybody did.
I'm sorry.
I guess my...
And JP, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't give mine. But I feel like I'm going to end up just repeating what I said on my first impressions of the film. But I guess like who I would really recommend it to is like, because oddly enough, I guess spirituality and even tarot card reading, like they're becoming much more popular now in my, like from what I've seen. So I guess anyone who's very open to that sort of mentality, the spiritual realm, like this is a very inoffensive movie to watch. Because yes, he does have religious background, but he basically took all religions and whatnot. And also people just within like the LGBT community, because he was like very like in that spectrum. Like he doesn't like, even in the at the end of the movie, we don't really know for sure like how he identifies himself as. But like it doesn't matter, to him. Like at the end of the day, like we're all just beings in this world, and we should just like treat each other with love and peace. And like if you just want a safe, good time while still like learning like how our culture is and like how it's slowly but surely progressing forward, like it's a nice watch. Because I'll admit I wasn't too enthusiastic about a lot of his more cheesy and more heartiness moments, but like you could tell like he was genuinely like he did enjoy bringing joy.
That was my favorite part,
right? And even the family dynamic, how like incredibly for the time were legit like open with him, like they were actually like really chill with him being the way that he was, and he was very supportive of his family as well. So if you just want a good time and like just have a quick education,
if you want a good time, call 1-900 Mercado.
Don't call Chloe. Don't call Miss Chloe.
Cleo.
Fuck Cleo, Miss Cleo. As soon as I saw her on the TV, I was like, oh, I know this bitch.
Oh no.
Her I recognized.
Oh man. Which I guess, by the way, I know. I guess quick note. I know that Walter did use the term psychic a few times, but I don't think he ever really was one.
No.
I feel the difference between a psychic and a fortune teller is literally within the name. Fortune teller tells you like what might happen, or like what sort of good or bad vibes will you get, while a psychic is like very specific, like, oh well, you're gonna get the fucking lotto numbers or whatever.
Yes.
You know.
You're gonna
Aries. Yeah. So one straight up lies to you. The other one is much more spiritual.
Yeah.
Is that everybody? Naomi, did you go?
Final thought. Whoa. So, like I shared before, oh my God, you frightened me. Don't do that right now. Woo, she scared me. Someone came.
Like, what? Are you okay?
It's because we're looking for some papers that have to deal with my dad's side of the family, because there was a death this past weekend.
I'm sorry.
But we found the papers, so this is why I discovered this 2000
Lol.
Mercado. Anyways, my final thoughts on this is just like I shared before. I don't think he was a psychic. He portrayed a character or himself in how it should be done, sharing love, prosperity, bringing hope, and just like wanting everyone to be one. And like his omnious lifestyle was really, how do I say this, influential. And yeah, I don't know, like, gosh, she like lost my brain of thought when she came into the room. Anyways, he was a character basically, and he knew how to act and until this day of his death. However, I don't think he was psychic at all. Like I said, he did know a way with his words, and yeah, like he just brought a lot of hope to the Latin community, especially when we have no leverage or anything like that, you know. So those are just my final thoughts.
Is that everybody?
I believe so. Well, with that being said, the movie for next week, if you guys haven't texted me, please text me your movie suggestion. I would like to have it so I can put it in the queue. But next movie is called Paris, Texas.
Oh! Classic.
Like the town?
It's a classic.
Yeah, so it's Jason's recommendation. And that's the one for next week.
Jason, this better not be fucked up like your other one.
Who knows? Never seen it.
I'm hoping
Jason, I'm going to be so mad about watching this.
You guys loved the last one. Don't even play. You guys had so much stuff to say about it.
I liked it. I personally liked it. There were moments that I looked at the movie like this.
Who recommended Apocalypse Now?
That was Isaac.
Isaac? Oh, Isaac's not here. Tell him that I want all fucking 2 hours of my life back because I fucking hate it.
That was longer than 2 hours.
I was like, fuck this movie. I'd rather watch Tropic Thunder, which is basically the same thing but better.
Oh my God.
So the only one here who has seen the next feature is Dino.
No, I confused it with a different movie. But I might have seen it. I just looked it up, but
it's starring Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to look it up. Hang on.
Yeah. I thought it was a wacky comedy. I'm thinking of something completely. No, I think I'm thinking of Happy Texas. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But anyway, all right. I do have to go. So,
yeah. Yes.
See you, Dino.
Bye.
Mucho amor.
Ciao.
Bye.
Love and peace and peace.
Ari wants to say bye to everybody because it's always about her.
I just want to say bye to Steve.
Oh.
But I love all of you also.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
But anywho, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff.
Okay, goodbye.
Stay in the post chat and stay. Anybody else? See you next week. Paris, Texas, the movie.
Yola.
Watching Paris, Texas?
Yeah.
Voy para ahora.
Whose pick was
You're
that?
coming?
Yeah.
Vente.
Hey, I'm Jason Eccles, and thanks for watching the OEDMilo Network. There are many videos here to watch. Pick one, click it, don't go anywhere until you do, and then subscribe. We're happy to have you.